The first time that I ever met Davis Love III was at Atlanta Country Club. I had taken lessons from Harvey Pinnock, and Davis Love Jr. had also played golf for Harvey. Davis Love Jr. was now the head professional at Atlanta Country Club, and Harvey had told me that if I ever got into any trouble with my golf game, I could go to Atlanta, take a lesson from Davis, and I would soon be playing well. Well, there was this little bitty kid running around on the practice tee while I was taking a lesson from his dad, and that kid turned out to be Davis Love III. Fast forward a few years, and I'm established on the PGA Tour, and all of a sudden there's a rookie that's getting ready to come out there and establish himself. Davis Love Jr. came up to me and said, would I watch Davis and try to help him out as best I could? Well, I'd had guys out on the PGA Tour that had done exactly the same thing for me. Dave Stockton, Charlie Cootie, Lee Trevino. Those are the guys that put their arm around me and showed me the way and guided me around. So all I felt like I was doing was paying it forward and taking care of Davis. He was impressive from day one. There was no question that he was going to become a really good player.
Davis is fast becoming a complete player. He may be a nicer young man than he is a good player as well.
Certainly when you look at the career that Davis Love has had, there's no doubt about it. He belongs in the World Golf Hall of Fame. 21 wins over 4 decades. That's amazing.
Davis Love has won the Players' Championship again.
8 Ryder Cups, 6 President's Cups, 2-time captain of the Ryder Cup. Those are credentials that are just outstanding. And who could ever forget the PGA Championship in Winged Foot in 1997?
That is what love is all about.
Oh my goodness. Just brilliant.
Davis won the PGA Championship, which his father was a member of that organization for so many years, making that putt on the 18th green with his dad smiling down with the rainbow in the sky. It was one of the classic moments of all time. Davis represents the highest standards that anybody could want for the PGA Tour and the PGA of America. He represents himself, he represents his family, he represents golfers, he represents the PGA Tour, and as many times he has done, he represents the United States of America at the highest standard. Davis, I know you're very proud right now. I can assure you this is a pretty elite group to be associated with. When I got inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame, I felt like that my career had just reached the pinnacle. And I'm sure you feel exactly the same. Congratulations on this wonderful award.
And to present Davis Love for induction into the World Golf Hall of Fame, here is one of his mentors and Hall of Fame member, Tom Kite.
Thank you very much. It's always an honor to get in front of this group. This is pretty incredible. In 2004, when I was inducted into this wonderful hall, I looked around and I could only think of one person that I would love to have present me, and that was my good friend and lifelong competitor, Ben Crenshaw. Ben did a fantastic job, you know, way better than I'm going to do for Davis, I can assure you. But after that ceremony, Ben came up and he said, Tom, he said, I got to tell you, that's one of the biggest honors that I've ever had in my life, being able to present you for the Hall of Fame. And of course, I'm thinking, you know, Ben's being Ben. He's a usual nice guy. He's throwing a bunch of BS out there. And, you know, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, Ben, come on, this is not that big a deal. And I really never believed him until about 3 or 4 months ago. I got a phone call from Davis. He asked me if I was going to come up to the President's Cup because I had designed Liberty National with Bob Cupp, and I said, of course I'm going to be up there. I wouldn't miss that tournament. And then he said, well, you're probably going to be at the Hall of Fame then, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. And then he said, well, Tom, you know, if you don't mind, could you, you know, would you mind presenting me? And I said, darn right. And I know exactly what Ben meant. It really is a tremendous honor for me to be up here to present my good friend and truly one of the nicest men that has ever graced our game, Davis Love III.
Thank you, Tom. How incredibly generous of you. Thank you for being there when I was starting out on tour, and today, and the 31 years in between. One of Tom's early messages to me was to smile more. He'd say, I know you're enjoying it, but people have to see it. I knew what he was talking about. Make a birdie on the last hole, pull the ball out of the hole, get interviewed on TV, looking like I was coming out of a root canal. I was smiling, but it was all on the inside. Well, now I'm in the World Golf Hall of Fame, and I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm smiling. It's some name, the World Golf Hall of Fame. Golf is becoming more global all the time. Look at this year's class. Lorena Ochoa of Mexico, Ian Woosnam of Wales, the late Henry Longhurst of England, and Meg Mallon, native New Englander, and daughter, I'm guessing, of Ireland. What a privilege for me to go in with all of you. And what about the group we are joining? I was driving North Florida recently and saw a billboard for the Hall of Fame featuring huge photos of Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. Big Jack and Arnie, they won 10 Masters between them. Now that's a special club, to be sure. A club within the club for all the Augusta winners. Ian knows all about that. But this club that I've joined now, along with Ian and Meg and Lorena and Mr. Longhurst, in my mind, it's golf's ultimate club. But I'm not fooling myself. I don't see anybody going to the World Golf Village just to see my new locker there. But what golfer wouldn't want to see Arnold's locker or Jack's? Arnold has enough stuff in his locker for a yard sale. My own locker, though, is still a construction site. I'm thinking of putting in some things that represent my off-the-course interests. This is a Neil Koss turkey call. Neil Koss was the Tiger Woods of hand-carved turkey call makers. It's a piece of the history and the traditions of the South. I was told not to do that very loud. What do you think, folks? Do I put a turkey call in my locker? Robin, are you okay with that? My wife of 31 years, ladies and gentlemen, Robin Love. She would prefer that I move all my turkey call collection to St. Augustine. Keep Drew and I from making racket in her house. I bought an engagement ring for her with my first tournament paycheck. It was the best money I ever spent. I don't know what Mr. Longhurst will have in his locker. My dad was a teaching pro who played in 16 major championships between 1955 and 1974, and Henry Longhurst probably covered most of them. It's amazing how interconnected everything is in golf. In my youth, I played a bunch of times with Paul Runyon, who won the first of his PGA championships in 1934. And I played with Justin Thomas, who won the first of his PGA championships in 2017. Paul Runyon was playing when the first generation of Scottish-American golfers, including Donald Ross, were still on the scene. Before he is done, I imagine Justin Thomas will go toe-to-toe in major championships with golfers who aren't even born yet, golfers from China and India and other parts of the world. Golf shrinks time. It's always done that. These days, it shrinks the world. Getting back to Henry, while I was preparing for this night, I read Henry Longhurst's Sports Illustrated story about Arnold's win at the Royal Birkdale in 1961. I learned things in it I had never known. In the second round, Arnold was in a bunker on the 16th hole. On his downswing, a gust of wind moved his ball, and he hit a moving ball. He told a rules official what happened and immediately added a shot to his score. Nobody but Arnold could have possibly seen that ball move. But Arnold understood that strict adherence to the rules is the backbone of our game. He and thousands of others passed that understanding on to my generation, and I have tried to pass that on to the next. Playing by the rules, showing restraint, honoring the game's etiquette. That's how we golfers at every level show respect for the game and for the people we're competing against. It's really just an extension of the golden rule. I got that from my father, from Paul Runyon, from Tom Kite, from Vinnie Giles, and of course, from my mom. I could stand here till sunrise and say thank you to the many, many people who have helped me get here today. I try to show my gratitude every day. I'm sure I'm not successful, but I try. Longhurst wrote something about Arnold at the 61 Open that I've read again and again, and I quote, "He has no fancy airs or graces. He wears no fancy clothes. He makes no fancy speeches. He simply says and does exactly the right thing at the right time, and that is enough." When I read that, I felt like Henry captured Arnold exactly as we all know him, but I also felt like he was writing about my dad. I was lucky enough to play for Arnold and for Jack too when they were captains of President's Cup teams. I was lucky enough to have Watson, Kite, Watkins, Strange, and Sutton as my Ryder Cup captains. I was a captain twice of Ryder Cup teams. This week, I'll be an assistant captain of a President's Cup for a third time. When I look back over the 31 years of my professional career, my involvement in these team matches that have brought together the world of golf, have meant as much to me as anything as I have done in the game. And I'm looking forward to supporting my teammates this week at Liberty National. You can see the Statue of Liberty from the course. I don't know what could be more inspiring than that. We live in a country where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are at our core. But we don't forget that just recently, golfers in Japan got pulled off of a golf course because of a North Korea missile test. One of our jobs as golfers, no matter where in the world we come from, is to uphold the traditions of those who came before us. To do that, all we really have to do is treat one another respectfully and strictly adhere to the rule book. If we do that, we'll leave the game in better shape than we found it. As citizens of the world, our job is exactly the same. Golf gives us a good example, a great example, if we follow it. This game has given me far than I could ever give it. Consider this night, for one thing. In ways, the game evolves constantly. It's evolving. This is the wooden driver I used when I played my first U.S. Open in 1988. This is the metal driver, a little bit bigger, that my son Drew used when he played in the U.S. Open this year. If his caddy had been a little more on the ball, he probably would have made the cut. But in its most important ways, golf does not change. The strange combination of demands golf makes on your body and mind, golf's reliance on the honor system, golf's simple demand to get the ball in a hole, a distant hole in the fewest strokes possible. My next prop. Eloise Watley, on loan from her mother, Lexi Love, and William Watley. We'll just leave the clubs. This piece of crystal was given to my father, a gift from the Augusta National Golf Club. The club has a tradition of giving crystal to the person who shoots the lowest round of the day. My father shot 69 in the first round of the 64 Masters. Nobody shot lower. He didn't win on Sunday. Arnold did. And I was born the day after. And this piece of crystal, unchanged from what my dad won in 1964, was given to me for shooting the low round of the day at the 1995 Masters. I finished a shot behind the winner, Ben Crenshaw, another of my Ryder Cup captains. Ben had buried his teacher, Harvey Penick, 5 days earlier. Harvey taught Ben. Harvey taught Tom Kite. Harvey taught my father. Now I'm in the same club as Harvey and Ben and Tom, the World Golf Hall of Fame. Eloise, your great-grandfather played in U.S. Opens. Your grandfather did too. Your mom's brother, your Uncle Drew, has played in one. Maybe there'll be more to come for him and for me as his caddy. You can't know. Golf makes no guarantees. Maybe someday you'll play in a U.S. Open. That's up to you. But whether you do or don't, I hope the game I know and love will be there for you as it was and as it is for me. It should be, but that's up to us. I hope it is, Eloise, because even though golf can make you half crazy at times, it can also bring you friends and challenges and opportunities like nothing else I know. And it can tell you all about yourself, the bad and the good and in between. Golf has improved my life in every way, and this I can guarantee it will do the same for you. And that's why this celebration tonight, this induction into the World Golf Hall of Fame, is the greatest honor of my life. Thank you.